So today I'm going to be doing an animation composer tutorial, and it's actually pretty easy. You may need a little bit of experience in After Effects or Premiere, but I'm going to show you how to do all that here. So first thing, we need to download Animation Composer, and to do that we're going to go to Mr. Horse, just like that. Mr. Horse here, handy tools for Adobe After Effects. Alright, and we're going to learn more and download, and go ahead and get the download for Mac. You don't have to sign up for a newsletter. I'm just going to put it in my downloads file here. Boom, boom, boom. Get that out of there. Go ahead and just drag it into your applications. Open up my applications, and I'm going to go to, where are we at? Mr. Horse Manager. Open. Sometimes when you open this, you have to go to your settings and allow it, but this time you don't. So we're going to go to Animation Composer After Effects. You can also use it for Premiere. I've never used it for Premiere, so let's just stick with After Effects for now. We're going to go ahead and install Animation Composer, and we're going to, it's going to automatically install the starter pack for you, and these are all the preset settings, and there are more you can download, but I have not downloaded any yet. So alright, and we're good. I'm going to close that, and if you don't have After Effects, go ahead and go to this. You know how to do this. Open or install After Effects. I already have it, so not going to worry about that. Get out of here. We're going to go to desktop. Look at my pretty family. They're so beautiful. And then we're going to go to After Effects. And I'm very particular with my file system. Of course, everybody does it differently, but I do this just so I can remember, or if I'm out of town or something and somebody needs to find something easy, it just makes it much more simple to go through my file. So I'm going to go to New Project, and then I'm going to go to Save As. Save As. I'm going to start a new thing. It's my current projects folder, and then we're going to go to make a new one. Call it Animation Composer Tutorials. Okay, and I'm going to do a couple different folders just so it's easy for me to remember. After Effects, then I'm going to do one for Resolve, because I always, oops, I'm going to delete that. I always do, once I'm done with After Effects, I like editing in Resolve, so do that, and then I'm going to do, oops, go here, I'm going to go type in Elements. This is usually like stock footage, stock photos, and you may not use these now. And then I also like to do a fonts thing, so I put all my fonts in here. And then finally, I'm going to do audio. And these four things are going to correlate with each of these. So After Effects, I'll have everything in here, and I'll drag it, to the actual program. But that way they always reconnect with the particular program I'm using. So in each of these, After Effects and Resolve, I'm going to make an exports folder. I do this because it just saves time later whenever you're trying to export things, especially if you got to do it quickly. I'm going to do an exports folder for this, and that way okay, this is where they're going to go. Because if you don't put them in your export folder, even your project files, which will go in here, if you don't put them in your export folder, After Effects and Resolve will both take, we'll put them wherever you want. And man, it is hard to find where they put them. It's way deep in the system file. So we're going to go ahead and save this here. Project, I'm going to title it Animation Composer Tutorial. Boom, got it. Okay, let's save that in here. And first thing that we're going to do is create a new composition. And you can do that from footage, or you can do that just creating a new composition. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to label it, I don't know what we're doing. We'll just do first slide, I don't know what it's actually going to be called. Now, I believe you know what these are. I usually use 1080 by 1924, like iPhone, things like TikTok, stories, reels. It fits the phones pretty well. But in this instance, we're going to do 1920 by 1080, which is the standard, what we use like in the sanctuary. So, all right. So now what we're going to do is figure out what we want to create. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Elements. I'm just going to download a quick background just to make it easy. We have this, and so like what we were doing, what I showed you earlier, we'll go here. We'll just download something. I'll get this. We'll go to Animation Composer. Actually, create a new one. Animation Composer. Composer tutorials. Boom. Download that. Let's see, we're going to go here, current projects, tutorials, elements, and this is a doodle, so I'll do stock footage. I'm just going to name it 90s doodle because I hate the way that they label their files. So we're going to do that. Let's go to some music. We'll get like a quick 90s music thing. That's fine. We'll get that. Okay, then we're going to download that. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Don't do anything illegal. Elements. I'm going to put that in audio. I'm going to create a new folder for music because we're not using sound effects. So we're going to name it Eurodance 90s. Boom. Put that there. Okay, we're going to get out of that. Actually, you know what? Let's go back. Let's get a font too. Elements. Boom. I like the fonts that they have on here. Let's see what they have that's 90s. That's cool. Maybe we'll do... it might take me forever to download font, so I'm just going to do this one. It's kind of a cool font. Boom, download that. Okay, and I'm only doing this so I can show you kind of how I drop my files in place to have them ready. Here, I'm going to name it the Moonlight font. I don't even have to put that there. Okay, and then, yeah, that's it. So we'll get out of that, and we're going to go to here. I'm going to go ahead and unzip all of these files. We got the music. I'm going to unzip it here. Okay, and then we got that. Our fonts. Boom, got that. Go ahead and drop that in there. Swash. There. Install font. Swashes are pretty cool. All right. I think that's it. Yep, that's it. Okay, so now, yep, I got one more thing, stock footage. Okay, all right, so now we got the doodles. That's pretty cool. I want to learn how to do that. All right, so let's go ahead and drop these things in here. And what will make it easy is if you take these folders, or these things, and you can do this in both Resolve and After Effects. I'm going to Command Tab, and then I'm going to drop them right here. Uh-oh. It didn't like that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go to create a new folder. Let's see, audio, and we're going to create a new folder. Do stock footage. After Effects can get very, very wacky very quickly. So we're going to do compositions. I'm going to go ahead and drop my composition in here, my first slide. And let's go ahead and go here, import file. Okay. We're going to go back to current projects, tutorial, After Effects, oops, elements, footage, doodles, boom. There we go. Okay, I'm going to do both of these actually. And we got those in there. See how it just dropped it right there? So we want to drop that in there because it'll just get really unorganized quickly. So let's go ahead and get our audio. And that was one way you can import things, and then another way you can do it is just by dragging it in there. So got this, you can MP3 or WAV. Normally if it's a high quality like production, you want to use the WAV. With the MP3 you're fine. So I'm going to drop that in audio. Okay, now we're going to just go ahead and drop that in there. That's our audio. We're going to go ahead and drop our footage in there, doodles. Okay, and see how this is like, it's not really taking up the space. If you really wanted it to take up the whole space, what you can do is you can actually go to time stretch, and then you can drop it to, let's say, 40 and it'll slow it down. Oh, that's the wrong way. Sorry. In Premiere, going the smaller number actually extends it, but in this one, I believe the larger number. Yeah, so there you go. So you can do that. And let's see, time stretched again, 400. Okay, now we're covering the whole timeline. But if you watch it, it's probably going to be like real skippy and jerky. So what you can do is click that and go to frame blending, turn on either frame mix or pixel motion. Both kind of do similar things. So now, even though it's going slow, that's just the way that my computer's rendering it. After Effects, really the best way to render in After Effects is to just drag it like that. A lot of people don't know that. It helps a lot. You can just drag it. But when you start filling up the thing, it's going to get real slow. So what you can do for that is, Lacey got spit up and pooped on today. Anyways, so if quarter, this down here is going to actually determine how good a quality that your computer's rendering, and the lower this is, the quicker you can actually edit. But if it just does not work, you can come here. See, I have mine rendered every 40 pixels horizontally, but the higher this number, if I do 80, it's going to really, now you can really slow things down. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to do custom. I'm going to drop that down to 5 and 5 because it's not that big of a file. So now I can kind of look back at it like that. And so let's go ahead and we'll create a little background that will kind of go over this, for our text can kind of fit over it. So what I'm going to do is actually go to click down here. We're going to go new solid, okay, and then you can name it whatever. We'll call it, we'll make a circle, circle text background, okay, and then it's going to actually create it in this form. But what we're going to do is actually, nope, I'm wrong, sorry. We're going to go here, we're going to go new shape layer. And so we're going to name that circle shape text background. And then, so now you see there's nothing on your screen. So what you're going to do is come up to your pen tool, right? And it's pretty much the same as it is in After Effects. And so you can actually select it, and Roto Bezier, whatever you want to say, will make it to where you can do something circular. So if you do, let's actually turn off this background so we can kind of see. So if you do, turn the alpha off. Alpha channel means transparency, but turn off transparency, this is what you're going to see. So if you do it without the Roto Bezier, it's going to look like this, okay? Right? So, but if you do it with the Roto Bezier, you can do it like this. It's going to, boom, look at that, boom, boom. So now you got something that's circular. So if you wanted to actually make it perfect, you can hold this, hold shift, see how it automatically links up, boom. Now, well, sorry, wrong one. So if you can hold control, or command, sorry, actually I might be wrong about that. I don't remember the commands on Mac. Let's see, you may just have to do a good job with it. So, alright, there we go. Now you can also, if you wanted to create a perfect circle without the pen tool, you can come here, get the ellipse tool, and hold shift, perfect circle, boom. Now if you want to actually grab it, you hit V. V is going to be your command for switching that. If you want to go back to your pen, you're going to hit G. Don't know why it's G, it's P in Photoshop, but on After Effects it's G. So we're going to do that. I'm just going to put that right there. Alright, and so we're going to go ahead and let's turn this background back on. Boom. Alright, so you can make this as wonky as you want, whatever you want to do. But for this, what I'm going to do is actually put a shadow back behind it. Now, I like on Mac because you can go to help. If you're ever looking for anything, even in Photoshop, you can go up to help and just type it in. You can type in whatever. You can type in whatever you want. So for this one, I want to do like a drop shadow. So I'm going to do drop shadow. Now on After Effects, you got to be careful because you have two different types of drop shadows. You have layer style drop shadow and you have an effect drop shadow. Normally, I use the effect drop shadow because when you do layer style, you won't be able to see it in the effects control. So if I do layer style, I won't be able to edit it like this. So I don't want to do that. Actually, I had everything selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to drop shadow for perspective, right? And now I'm going to be able to edit it in my effects panel. So I like that. Now I want to do distance, boom. Alright, so we're going to turn off the opacity. Boom, now we got this little 90s crazy looking circle, and we can do all kinds of stuff with it. So now, whenever I created the lyrics video, what I did was I dropped it into Premiere, and that process is actually pretty easy. The reason why I do it in Premiere is because it's much easier to edit actually in Premiere than it is in After Effects. This particular type of thing, After Effects just isn't super intuitive when it comes to quick, easy edits. So we're going to go here into Premiere. If you don't have it, you can get it from Creative Cloud. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to label this Animation Composer Tutorial. I created a Premiere folder, and this is where my project file is going to go. And I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Now, what I'm going to do is, if I'm actually editing something like a quick audio snippet from one of the services, I know you guys do that a lot. Let's just go to, and then we'll go down to, let's find something with pastor in it. See, that's got music. Let's not use that one.
And listen, the disciples, the great disciples.
That's a little bit too long.
If you can, all things are possible to him who believes.
I like that. All right, so that's what we'll do. We'll take that file and we're going to drop that into Premiere. And let's go ahead and create our bins. I'm going to create one for footage. And if I create anything else, then I'll add a bin for that. But let's go ahead and rename it. We'll just name it Pastor Sam Freedom Crusade 1. Okay, and we'll drop that into the footage. So let's go here, and we can either drag it into here to create a new sequence, or we can right click it and go up to new sequence from clip. And I'll just click that, and now we got it just like that. So now what I'm going to do is, normally you can actually transcribe this. So if you want to get a whole lot of text, you can actually transcribe it, and I can do a different tutorial on that. But now, since we only have a few statements, what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and do it ourselves. So what you're going to do is come up to this window here, and if you're not already in text mode, what you can do is click that and hit T, and it's going to bring up this little option here. So we can do this, and we'll actually make it about like that. Make sure it's selected, and let's listen to the text.
If you can.
Okay, if you can, click that again. Back up there, if you can. Well, let's go ahead and center that. It doesn't have to be super perfect because we're actually going to edit the style in After Effects, but let's just put it here so we can see it. Okay, now let's go to the next one.
If you can.
Okay, so it's the same thing. So let's actually just cut this. It's C to go to your blade tool. See, there it is. And then we're going to cut this out. Hit V, select that, cut that out. Okay, now we got that. Okay, now we got this. Do the same thing here. And so I just took this same one and just cut it to where I didn't have to keep hitting T and selecting it and creating a new text file. So we're going to drag that out, pull this back a little bit.
All things are possible to him who believes.
Nice. Okay, so we're going to click that, go up here. You can either double click it in V mode, or your selector mode, or you can click T and then just scroll over it. Let's go ahead and delete that. All things are possible. And let's go to the next one, to him who believes. All right, so we got our text now. Let's just cut this. Okay. Okay, let's take this last line out. Okay, I'll tell you what, we'll just delete that line. Okay, and then we'll go to this next one, and we'll do the same thing, but we'll delete the top line. So that way it stays in the same place. And go back there. Okay, now, actually, all things are possible. I'll tell you what, we'll just bring that back down, because we got room to do it. So, bring that down, and bring that up. So now we got all of our text here. Boom, 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 boom. It doesn't have to be perfect, so let's select it. Okay, and we're going to drag it up one level, and you can hold shift if you don't want it to move around while you're dragging it. You can just drag it and hold shift, and it'll only go up. So we'll do that. Okay, we did that. All right, and now what we're going to do is we're actually going to come over here and right click, click new item, go to color mat, and we're just going to create a simple color mat. It doesn't matter what color it is. Let's just do blue, and then we're going to do blue color mat. Okay, now I'm going to take that blue color mat. I'm actually going to drag it on this layer here, and I'll show you why I'm doing this, but this is a very important step because it will save you a lot of time once you get to After Effects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click C, open up my blade tool, and I'm going to cut, and I'm going to have a color mat under each one of these perfectly. Alright, so now that we actually have all of our text, what we can do is we'll select all, and then we'll right click and go to replace with After Effects composition. Now what this is going to do is actually going to open all of these things up inside your project window. And I like to keep things organized, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder and call it text, and I'm going to take every text file except for this composition right here, and I'm going to drop it into text. Now this composition is actually just a representation of your actual Premiere file. So this is basically what that composition is. It actually is named the same thing in here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and rename that to, let's just say text composition, or let's say a text edit, and we'll put that inside my compositions folder. Now this is the actual video file that we're wanting to use, so I only need the audio from it, but so I'm going to actually take this and make a new folder, call it footage. It's not stock footage, so I want to put it in the regular footage folder. Alright, and now this is the composition here, this text edit composition. It's just, again, a representation of Premiere, of the same thing. It just, in After Effects, instead of we'll actually undo this. Instead of it being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all these different things on these layers, basically each one of these is a, I'm going to put it back, is a is actually represented by a composition. In Premiere, it's layers. In After Effects, it's compositions. So our tracks is in Premiere, it's compositions in After Effects. So what I'm going to do is, since I have all of my text lined up, and it should be exactly on with and sometimes it takes a little bit to render, but all of these are lined up with the words, and that's why we do it in Premiere and then import it into After Effects. And this blue mat here, make sure I don't get it off, this blue mat here is actually just to show you where this text should fall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into first, since I accidentally edited this in 4K in my Premiere project, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to go into each one of these and just make sure they're all lined up properly. And if you see, this anchor point is one of the most important things in After Effects. And the reason why I say that is because if I try to see that, if I try to size this up right now, it doesn't work right because it's assuming this is where it should be sizing up from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Y on my keyboard, or you can come up here and it's called your pan behind anchor point tool. I'm actually going to grab that and drop that right in the center. And now when I try to size it up, everything is perfect. So if I don't want it to do like this, what I can do is hold down Shift, oops, go back, hold down Shift, and there we go. See that? And I'm just going to bring that up right in the middle there. And what I want this to do is I actually want this to be on the first slide comp. So I'm just going to select it. And let me go back real quick because we need to mark this composition. That's what these the actual mats are for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the beginning and end of each one of these mats here, right? And I'm going to hit Control and then 8. Let me deselect that, Control 8, and it should put a marker right up here at the top. Let's go to the end of this one. If I want to go forward by 1 frame, I click Command left or right, and it'll only go 1 frame. If I try to do that without, it's just going to move whatever I'm selected. So do that, go to that one, Control 8. Okay, now I can hold Shift, Command, over, and it'll go forward, I think, 5 to 8 frames. Okay, now I'm going to click just Command, go back 1 frame, Control 8, same thing, go forward 1, Control 8, and then, or you can just hold Shift and it'll put it at the very beginning of the composition. I'm sorry, of whatever your selector's at. Control 8, hold down Shift, it's going to go to the end. Control 8, Shift, Control 8. Okay, and we're going to go to the very last one, Control 8. All right, so now we have a mark on each one of these where this text should fall in line. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my first slide, and I'm going to drop my text edit file into my text edit, or into my first slide composition. So now you can see where each one of these is marked. This is where the word should start. So I'm going to double click this, and I'm going to take off this blue color mat just so I can see where it's actually falling in line. See that? Now we don't need to see this video, so we'll go ahead and turn that off. Just don't unmute it, because don't mute it, because you can still hear the audio without the video there. So I'm going to go there. Now we got that lined up, but you see how this is much bigger? The reason why is because, again, the Premiere file, the base resolution was 4K, but it's not 4K in the After Effects project. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click it, go down to Transform, and Fit to Comp. So now it should be fit to this composition. Now let's go back into our text thing, and then we'll just make sure all of these, see, these aren't lined up. We're going to go to the second one, and again, anchor points off. We'll turn the transparency on so we can see the black in the back. Put that in the middle. Okay, I'm going to bring that up. And you can do this on one of the final steps, but I'm just doing it now because it's easy to do, and I'm there, so that way I won't forget about it. So we're going to go to the third one, hit Y, go to your anchor point, put it right in the middle, V, and we'll bring it up. Can't really see it. There we go. Okay, all things are possible. Let's go ahead and make this 2 lines. Boom, just like that. Okay, now it's right in the middle. And then let's go to text edit and do the final one, which should be, let's go ahead and do this. Just like that. Okay, and then we'll do this one in 2 lines as well. That way we have more space later. Drag that down. We don't need all that right there. Okay, bring that up 1, just like that. Okay, boom, just like that. All right, so we're going to go back to text edit. Now we have all of these where we want them. Again, they're not perfect, but we're going to actually adjust that in a second. So what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to go and select all these, and I'm going to drop them onto my first slide. Oh, that's off 1. And now I'm going to go to my first marker here, double click this. I'm going to select this, Command C to copy it, come back. Now I'm going to copy that there. Okay, it put it over here because, again, the actual resolution's off. Let's just go ahead and drag it up here. There we go. Just a little bit bigger than we want it to be. And I can go ahead and just delete that one. That one's out of the way. Okay, let's go to our next one. Okay, select that. Okay, I'm going to paste, Command V. Okay, now we got that. Put that there. And I'm just, see, this is what happens whenever things get out of order. We end up having to adjust this, but that's all right. There's 100 different ways to do different things. Sometimes they just take a little bit longer. So let's delete that one, go in here, grab this one, okay, boom, bring that up, okay, and do that there. That background's still showing because it's in one of these other compositions, and I'm going to take that off in a second. Let's delete that, and let's grab our last text here and drop it here. And the reason, again, why I have these markers is so that I know exactly where it's going to fall and it won't get out of sync with the speaker. Okay, so now put this here, to him who believes, and boom. Okay, just like that. And let's go here. The reason why that back there is still showing is because I do have this text edit, but I was only using these for the marks. So we can either turn it off, or we can just completely delete it and take it out of the composition. Either way, we're good to go. Okay, so now we have everything lined up and in place. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to select each one of these and put our font and our style on the actual text. Now the reason why I wanted to do them in text is because I can edit this over here. It can be whatever I want it to be. If had it been just by the layer, if I was just using the compositions that I deleted earlier, I wouldn't have been able to edit this. So we're going to go here and we're going to type in our font name, which is Moonlight Clean. Okay, let's just make this a little bit bigger, and we're going to add the same drop shadow as this circle has. So what we can do, come up to effects, and this is again why we use the effects and not the layer style. Click it, and we're going to go to click this, drop shadow now. We look at it, okay, it's a little bit off, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in to about right there, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and select this and do the same thing for these other ones. Boom. Moonlight. Okay. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay. And then do the same thing here. Boom. Moonlight. Okay. Let's bring these together a little bit. A lot of these settings are the same in Photoshop as they are in After Effects. So I think Photoshop is basically the best thing that you can know to make the most out of After Effects. Okay, do this last one. Let's bring it up. Okay, again, kind of bring these closer together. Boom, and that should be good to go. Sweet, just like that. So finally, this is where we get into the animation composure side of everything. And I'm going to go ahead and save, and this here is Animation Composer. If you can't find it, I actually have mine selected in here, but what you can do is, normally you'll see this in After Effects, just these two, Project and Effects. And we're actually in the standard work space, and you can change it to different ones depending on what you want to do. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to go up to Window here and go down to Animation Composer. I haven't used these three yet. They're a little bit more advanced, but we're just going to do that. So now, if you get this, if you get Animation Composer and it's some weird place like over here, wherever it's at, all you got to do is grab they call it the hamburger icon. Grab the actual word next to the hamburger icon, and then drag it over here. So now we got it up here. Okay, so here is going to be actually what comes with Animation Composer. It's really cool that they include these things. Each one of these does something different, but it has it labeled next to it. 2D layers are going to be for things that are not selected. This is your 3D layer here. So if you want something to be a 3D layer, let's say we wanted the circle to be a 3D layer, I'd come down here and I'd select this, and now it's 3D. Oh, sorry, let me flip it. So now you see how things can turn 3D. That's how that is. But since we're not using that, we're actually just going to turn that back off, and we're going to go up to 2D layer. Now here you have a lot of different things that you can do, and if you click them, it'll show you with the little horse icon how it works. But for this instance, let's just do this little. Let's actually come to the very beginning of the thing, of the actual composition, and we're going to select something like, let's just do this one. That's fine. So when I started, this was the mistake I made. You can double click, and when you double click, sometimes it works, but you don't have as much control over the in and out. So what I like to do is actually just, I'm going to undo that. I took it off, and what I'm going to do is actually come to it. This is the one I want. I'm going to select it where I'm at, and I'm going to come to in. Okay, so now all I have is an endpoint, right? See that? And I can adjust this endpoint to be as slow and take as long as I want it to. If I want it to come in fast, boom. If I want it to come in much slower, it's going to take a little bit longer to finish its animation. So I'm going to just select this right here because I want it to come in fast. Boom. Okay. So now it's kind of still, and I want this to be moving. So I'm going to come back up to Animation Composer. I'm going to go back to Browse. As soon as you add something, it's going to open it up in the Edit layer. But I'm going to come back to Browse, and I'm actually going to go down to Effects, 2D layer, since we're editing a 2D layer. And it's got a bunch of cool little effects that you can use. And you can actually try them if you want to just double click it and just see what it does. You can drag, just like I said earlier. Try not to play it because it won't play full. And if you don't like that, just Command Z, undo it, go back to Animation Composer, open Browse. And the one I like to use for this, I like to use this kind of slow wiggle. So I'm actually going to come back to the beginning, and I'm going to click it, and I'm going to do an endpoint. Actually, for these actual animations, it's an apply. There's no in and out point. It just applies it to the entire layer. So I'm going to click apply. And if I look at it, it's moving a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come to Animation Composer again. You can edit it here, and if you like to do that, that's cool, but you have to kind of understand all these things. So I'm going to go back to Animation Composer, and I'm just going to bring this down to, let's say 20 here. I'm going to bring this down to about 30, okay? So now it's not as much. It just kind of looks like it's just there. It's wiggling a little bit too much, so I'm going to do 5 here. Okay, so now we got a little bit cooler of a thing, and we can also do a rotation if you want. So if you want to just do like where it kind of rotates, you can do that as well. You know, just a little thing like that. Also, you can apply that to the background if you want to. You know, if you want your background to be moving, but since they're already moving, I just like leave it like it is. And I want to do the text layer animations. So I'm going to come in, let's close that down. The reason why I close it down is because, man, after a while, if you have like 14 different things open, man, it can get so hard to find what you want. So I just like to keep things closed and neat, kind of being proactive in that. So let's go here. Now we have 3 different options. You have animate character, which would be if I just wanted the I, the F, the Y, the O, the U, the C, all of them to do something different. That would be animating the character. So it would animate each character separately. Now if I wanted to do just the words, that's what this does. It would do if, you, and can separately. It would animate those separately. Now if I wanted to do line, say I had if you can, and then I had this one below it, like this, you know, it would actually, if I had this and then I had 2 lines on my file, let's go ahead and add something else. Let's say booger, put that there. Let's say we had that there. So animate line is actually going to animate if you can and booger separately. See that? So, but for this instance, let's just go ahead and do the actual words. And what we're going to do is close that, animate words, and I'm just going to find one I like. That's kind of cool. I'm not sure about it, so let me just double click it. Boom. Okay. Alright, so it's not coming in quite as quick as I want, and the reason why that is because you have set preset in points and out points, and since this is such a short file, it actually put the out point where it thought it should be and the end point where I was selected. So what we're going to do is we'll bring this in point over, bring this out point this way, and boom. Now if you wanted it to actually come in a little earlier, but you wanted your endpoint to stay the same, you can actually drag this out and see it's going to start earlier. You know, so I took that off, it's not there anymore. But now we're just, if you can, we're going to leave it, and if you wanted this to last a little bit longer, you could bring this out and see it can stay as long as you want it to stay. But since we don't want it to overlap that other word, we'll just do that. I don't like this actual animation, so what we're going to do is we're going to come back, we're going to make sure we click that, we're going to come back to Animation Composer, and this is an important step. I'm going to come down to Preset Actions. Now you have a couple different options here. You have you can copy all your presets. Say if I wanted to take the animation that I did for this and add it to the next, if you can, which would be this one, then I can actually, sorry, that's not the one. It's, let me come back out. If I wanted to add the effects from this one onto this one, I would come to Preset Actions, make sure this is selected. I would click Copy All. I would come here, click Preset Actions again, and paste. So now I have the exact same animation on this one. This one was just a little bit bigger, so it looks different. So, but I don't want to do that. So I undid that. I'm actually going to select that. I want to take the entire animation off of this. So I'm going to click Preset Actions, and then I'm going to go to Remove Presets All. If you just remove the transition, it's going to take out just that. But we want to remove all of it because these actual effects, Animation Composer does multiple different things. So like again, if I say this and I go to Effects Controls, here you see you got 1, 2 different effects, and that's why we don't want to mess with that. So let me take that off, and now I'm going to go find something different. Let's see. Let's say we're going to do scale. Say I wanted to do that one. I can come in here, do endpoint. See how far it put the endpoint forward? Let's drag that back. It's saying that's how long it's preset for that animation to take before it's fully loaded. So we're going to go here and we'll do an out point and out. Okay, so again, it's just, you want to make sure you get those in and out points right. Okay, we got boom, okay, and out. All right, so what I'm going to do here, I want these to actually do the same thing that the circle's doing. So what I'm going to do is close this to get a little bit more space, and I'm going to select the shape, okay, and I'm going to go down to preset actions. Doesn't matter which one of these you're on, browse or edit, you can click preset actions, copy all. So I'm going to copy all of the effects from that, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste all the effects onto that. Now I got this cool little not cool thing, and I'm going to actually bring this down to 0. That was the rotation that's messing with it. Let's go to 0, 0. Okay, and let's see what that looks like. Okay, now we got a cool little thing that's kind of bouncing around. Okay, I'm okay with that. Now let's go back to browse, see if we can add a little bit something else. And really, you got to think about what you want to do in this situation. If you're wanting to go for some kind of cool, effect, you can come and see the different ones that you have. So if I wanted to do this, it's going to flicker the text and make it look all kinds of crazy. But we don't want that, so let's just get that off of there. And I'm going to undo that because I don't want to take all of my effects off. So now I just want to copy this to all of them. So I'm going to go back to browse. I'm going to go preset actions, copy all. I'm actually going to go here. Let's do that. And then we're going to, remember, since I copied all, it's gonna get the wiggling and the shaking and the text effects as well. So let's go here and we're going to paste. See, the word came in a little bit quicker, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring that here. I'm going to extend that because I want it to come in a little bit earlier. And boom, okay? So now, there we go. Got a cool little thing, and we're out. Now we got this other one. So now we got a double line thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, let's select that, bring it a little bit closer together. Of course, your design choices are going to be different than mine. So I see. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this, and I'm going to come up to text layer transition, and I'm going to animate by line. So let's just say we want this one. Come here. I'm going to go here. Endpoint. Okay. Put that there. There we go. Kind of cool. Okay, all things are possible, and then we're going to go back and do an out point. Boom. Okay, just like that. Now we got a cool little thing. No shaking though. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to come over here to our previous layer, and I'm going to select one of these. We're going to do this effect right here. And that was under the edit window. So I'm going to come over here, click copy. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to come over here, and I'm actually going to click paste. So now we got this little wiggly thing, and we didn't affect our animation. So I'm okay with this last one too to do that. So what we're going to do is we're actually just going to select all of our preset effects. I'm going to come here, boom, 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 cool. And then I'm going to go to preset actions, paste. And we should have everything just the way it is. That goes out a little bit too early, so I'm actually going to extend that a little bit, and it is done. Okay, so now that I have all of my stuff in place, if I wanted to add another layer of stuff, what I can do is I can actually come up to my project window. Let's close this, and so now you have this first slide. That's what we're editing now. So I can take this, drag it down to this, create a new composition, and now I have a composition with everything in it that I've done previously, but it doesn't. I won't be affecting anything on this file. So let me go ahead and rename this to, since this is going to be my export, I'm going to export this. So what you can do with this, come back over to Animation Composer, and there's some cool effects. You can actually also get, they have some cool like little letterbox things. You can put a letterbox on there, and it'll open it up. That's kind of cool. Let's just extend that out here. That's kind of cool if you wanted to use that. There's also, you can use these little things like this, and it'll, hey, check this out. Look, I got an arrow. I want to point it at something, and do like that. Look at my text, and just little things you can do like that. And then maybe like an underline or something. Go back and we'll do, I don't know if there are, yeah, there's an underline. So let's do this. Got that. Okay, let's drag that to here. and we'll put it under all. You know, if I wanted to make it big like that, I can. All things like that under there. And we'll put that little drop shadow on there as well. Drop shadow. Boom. I didn't want to go back to my previous one, so let's do like that. All things are possible. Okay? Just like that. If I wanted to bring that up, I can. Just like that. Now it looks like it's a part of it. That's kind of cool. Alright, and then finally we'll do one more little animation. If I wanted to do particle fireworks, we'll do that. We'll put some particle fireworks on there. Okay, and it even has like a little sound effect. That's kind of cool. I mean, you can technically put it on all of these if you wanted. Whenever it comes up, you just boom, like that. And then take another one, and then like this. You know, do all kinds of stuff with it. Boom. That's a little weird. Let me go back and make that smaller like the other one. Okay, put that there like that, and then we can actually do like a cool little text effect for each one. We'll do this one. Or maybe on this next one. Frame it out. If you, okay, put that there. If you, alright, and we'll just say that's, now say I wanted to put like a cool little film grain or something over this, but I didn't want to just add it to this one. I could actually come back up and we'll name this animation effects, or we'll name this extra animations. I can take extra animations and I can make a new composition, and now I'm just basically stacking these compositions and creating new ones. So I'm going to call this one the final one because I'm actually going to export it now. So let's go up to click that, and we'll do like film grain or something. Alright, let's do grain. Okay, noise and grain. We'll do add dust and scratches. Just adding something to it. I don't know, like that. Threshold. That looks stupid. Okay, we'll put that like that. You know, add a little something to it. Maybe some. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to do that in Resolve. Let me take that out. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and export this. Boom. So File. We're going to go to File, Export, Add to Render Queue. Now you start in Output module, click it, make sure if you wanted a transparent background, say you wanted to go in and take off your background, you can actually come here, turn on this to make sure it's like this. So you have all this other stuff you can put in there. Oh look, we got that other, let's say, which one that actually is. I think it's this one, yeah. So we can actually turn that off and still have the audio. Okay, so we'll come back here, and if you wanted to export it with just a transition, with just a transparent background, you can click that, come here, come to Output Module, click here, and make sure you select RGB plus alpha. If you just select alpha, all you're going to get is the transparency. If you select RGB plus alpha, you're going to get this front, and it's going to be on a transparent background. But it has to be under QuickTime, and it needs to be an animation. If you try to do it with a ProRes file, it won't let you do RGB plus alpha. So you're going to have to go here, Format, Animation, and click there. But since we're not going to actually export this as a transparent background, I'm just going to go back, turn on my slide, boom, final, okay, and there you go. So now we're going to export it again. Every time I go to export, add to render queue, it's going to add a new one. Just delete the one before if you haven't used it. You can always go up to Window and then go down to render queue and not have to do that. But for now, we'll just do this. Okay, we got our format that we wanted in. Okay, now I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to where I set up my exports, which is that one, After Effects, Exports. I'm going to put it here. Let's just say Weird Freedom Crusade 90s thing. Okay, now I'm going to always save before I start rendering, because if it fails in the render process and you didn't save, you're probably going to lose your work. So we'll click render and it'll go through. Alright, and so the next step, you can actually open Media Encoder. If you don't know how to use any other editing programs, that's fine. You can open Media Encoder, and you can actually turn this into an H.264 file. Now, if you wanted to in After Effects, you could export it as a regular file, but I like to have the option to be able to edit it after the fact, and so that's how I normally edit things. So whenever we finally get Media Encoder opened, and Media Encoder is free and it doesn't take any kind of like learning to really master, because it exports pretty much the same as Premiere exports. Let me take out these old files. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come to my weird free Freedom Crusade thingy, open Media Encoder, drop it in here, and then I'm going to come up to make sure this is H.264. Okay, you can do high bit rate, and then you can tell it where you want it to land, and it's going to land in the same place where you imported it, so we'll save it there. We can go ahead and just export it. For something this small, it shouldn't take very long, and this will put it into a format to where you can put it on Instagram, Facebook, whatever you want to do, and that's pretty much it. So we can look at it.
If you can, all things are possible to him who believes.
And that's our weird Freedom Crusade word thingy. So that's pretty much it for the tutorial, and I hope you can get something out of it. If you have any questions, please let me know, because I'd love to help you out some more. All right.